Right now, a historic moment. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency. The business tycoon and TV personality capping his improbable political journey with an astounding upset victory. Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating Hillary Clinton in a campaign unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime. Donald Trump wins the presidency of the United States. He is now going to be called President-elect Donald Trump. He's walking up right now. You see him right there. He's going to be speaking momentarily. He's got his wife there. History has been made. Jake, this is a moment a lot of people are going to remember.
You say you want to try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you want to cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Hey guys, Nathyn, Brendan, Masters Breakfast Club Wednesdays, and what happened last night was not a fever dream. That did indeed happen, and Donald J. Trump is indeed our new president-elect. And once again, The Simpsons, they called it, and a few other people as well. But yes, Donald J. Trump did indeed end up being our president-elect. Before you watch this video, you may want to watch ZZZ Giant Awake's video from just a few days ago. I'll link it here. He does an excellent job about talking about echo chambers and why they're dangerous. This is why they're dangerous. This is why they're dangerous. See, when you get an echo chamber, you get people like Donald Trump. What I see Donald Trump doing is the same thing I've been complaining about over and over and over. And I want to be clear that this is not a partisan thing. This is not about left wing or right wing or any of that. It's about genuine honesty. Saying, I believe this is happening and I want to change it. The problem is when you say that, there is no discussion of fact anymore. And I'm gonna step out on a limb and say, you know, the SJW culture that we all complain about, it did come in from the far right. You know, this is kind of the thing that the far right was doing back in the day. And they're just relearning how to do it from the far left, who learned how to do it from them. You're going to get a pendulum shift, and that pendulum shift seems to never be in the middle. Okay, I think maybe around the Bill Clinton decade, you know, somewhere maybe there to the early Obama decade. No, because in the Bush decade, there was like this kind of pendulum shift away from conservative ideas and things like that, and you got into like this thing where it was kind of a middle ground, and then there was like a shift to the left, like a hard shift to the left. And the irony about this is the internet is probably one of the biggest culprits. A lot of the stuff that we see when we talk about this kind of thing, it's not even happening in America. It's happening in Canada. You know, a lot of this is happening in Canada and the UK and other countries. We're looking at these other countries and getting scared by what's happening there. And then you have a lot of older white people here, a lot of not even older white people, just a lot of older people who see a change in the landscape. You're starting to see more people of color on TV. You're starting to see more LGBT people on TV. You're starting to see a lot more of this in the media, and it's scary to a lot of people. Like it or not, it is scary to a lot of people. People have had this idea that they're being oppressed because they can't say that it's scary without looking like bad guys. And I do think that's a problem. I do think that's the problem. And I've talked about that here. The problem with political correctness wasn't that I couldn't walk around and say bad things to you. The problem with political correctness was very simple. We couldn't have open and honest discussions about these issues because if we disagreed about something, you became a bad guy. We forgot what this was all about. We forgot that this whole thing was not about being able to be an asshole to people. This whole thing was about the right of discussion, the right of free speech, the right of being able to say, hey, I disagree with you and this is why. No one needs to do that anymore. There's no, I disagree with you and here's some good reasons why. It's, well, I disagree with you. Yes, I know that's a fact, but I'm going to dismiss it because you're a bad person, so I don't have to argue anymore. There's no longer a need to have to present actual information. You can simply play on the fears of the people. You ever see those horror films where the monster or the creature or the demon starts doing little things? And at first, it's these little small things, moving things, turning on water. Even if you look at my film, The Perfect Letter, same thing. The thing starts doing these little things. And it's explained that, oh, well, the demon gets power off of fear. You know, when you're scared, it gets its power. In real life, that's how things work. The people who are scaring you get power. It's always us against them, when sometimes there is no us against them. Sometimes it's simply us. One of the biggest problems I had with a lot of things that were happening, that's happening now, is people were called racist or sexist just for having different views about a political ideology. In situations that weren't particularly racist or sexist, and they never got to talk about it. It was just, well, you're that because, again, going back to Professor Peterson, you don't have the grasp of verbal skills to be able to say, hey, you may not be racist, but I do sense some prejudice there because you believe these things which may not be true. And a lot of this comes from the media. A lot of this comes from just the things that are projected on us every day, that these are the things that we believe to be right or wrong. These are the people who are the villains. These are the people who are the victims. And this is how you have to see life. And what's starting to happen is, because of the internet, because of other things out there, people are starting to see that everything they're told is not true. But at the same time, they don't necessarily go looking for the truth. With a big platform like the internet, you can find out so much information, and people use it to create larger echo chambers. They use it to, instead of trying to find out the truth, to just find out the opinion that is closer to what they already believe, even if that opinion is wrong. And just real quick, I want to bring up one more thing, and I think I'll close it out because I'm sure this video is going to be pretty long. Grady Andre did a video the other day, and he made one point that I think was amazingly true. He pointed out the fact that we choose politicians for very silly reasons, or we make these weird choices about why a person is suited for office or not. We're more likely to choose a person that we find entertaining, that we find amusing, that we find interesting, than we are to choose somebody that has a good, solid foundation. Someone who's actively trying to do good for people won't necessarily get you elected to public office. It just means that, hey, it's good that you're out there doing that. But it doesn't mean that as a culture we'll look at you and say, oh, well, we should reward that person. It means, oh, okay, well, you're there, but we're not very interested in what you're trying to do. We're interested in this person who's putting on a show for us. That's who we want to be our president. That's who we want to be our leader. The person who shouts the loudest, puts on the best show, they get the reward. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. That's the person who wins the contest. Not the person who's good, not the person who's right, but the person who shouts the loudest. That's the problem with our public discourse. That's the problem with our world. That's the problem with everything. If you shout the loudest, if you squeak the loudest, if you say the most stupidest thing and get the most attention, You're the person that we're going to pay attention to, for better or for worse. And that's how we ended up with President Donald J. Trump. The person who shouted the loudest, said the stupidest thing, and got the most attention. Nathan Brendan Masters, Breakfast Club Wednesdays.
If you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love.